Good morning, CLC. I invite you now to take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in, breathing in all the cool, calming oxygen that surrounds you. And as you release the breath, release all that no longer serves you. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take another nice, deep, cleansing breath in, breathing in love and light. And as you release the breath, allow your body to just relax in this moment. Allow any stress or tension or doubts to just wash away. Allow yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room or on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives. This is an original poem entitled Respirational. Come, breathe with me. You exist as a gift of divine grace and infinite possibility. Let love's spirit of wisdom and light nourish you into shining bright. Allow its gentle embrace to cleanse the sacred space beyond doubts and complacency where your true soul dwells. From the midst of nothingness into the potential that is true symbiosis. These are the muddy waters from where dreams froth forth into reality, saturated by the ever-evolving fogginess of faith, hope, and probability. Forming skin, flesh separating egos, collecting what's left to bestow the presence of presence, creating a unique display of itself that can only become present if you let it be. Breathe with me. Through this reflective blue-black fermentation of form into form to form your extraordinarily developing identity. Breathe in, breathe out, giving all of yourself to the process of developing this beautiful new route. A sparkling path that is forever transforming the stucco and grout of intentional, persistent existence into being. Inhale the minute particles of expression that make up all the elements of magic and wonder. Let the tickle and coolness enter the back of your throat. The rush of newness travel through your nose, up your head, and down to the tips of your pinky toes. Exhale the presence, of this possession, releasing from it within, allowing all that no longer serves you to emit from your skin. Wrapping each particle as it exits you with gratitude for the blessings that it has bestowed on you, upon you, during its time aboard you, knowing each instance provided a lesson disclosed for you to live your very best life in this duration, to fully execute your greatest potential and highest, most astute acumen. Pour the entirety of yourself into this treaty. Through the theological continuum, ancient and true, liquid waves of the divine transfixed upon you, transforming you, birthing you anew, authentically sublime, ready to make its glorious debut. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in again. Never stop being, co-creating, believing that the reconstituted existence you're working through into formation is significant. This universe needs you. You are our lungs, our air, encompassing the best of us that is already there, embracing the ripples and waves to create one unified heartbeat. The drum this world craves. Your Genesis moment on repeat, a precious opal of destiny, the manifestation of eternity. The godling that is you, releasing its belief into universal law, reigning true. It has always been the most powerful force known to skew the organic GPS from the gear of surviving to thriving, because that, my dear, is your truest calling. The power that has always and will forever be meant to produce is ready, willing, and waiting for you. So breathe it all in and execute your glorious manifestation and infusional existence with God within, divine and true. Thank
you. What you came here for today, you didn't expect the poetry. The poetry is going to be on stage every Sunday this month, and possibly beyond. I don't want to wear her out, but get busy writing. But we had the basic series of Science of Mind in January, and now it extends, really. It's what we do here is Science of Mind, and as we come into this month, we're working out of a little book called How to Use the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, unsurprisingly. Ernest Holmes wrote lots and lots of stuff, and his major work, his magnum opus, it's called The Science of Mind, our textbook. And then everything else is sort of an iteration of that, or a commentary on that. How to Use the Science of Mind, which came out, I think, in the 1940s, is like a guidebook for practitioners, for the professional practitioner who works with what in those days they called patients. Now we would call them clients or just friends, But the people who come to the professional practitioner and they have questions, they have a desire to manifest something in their life, and they have a bit of a block around it, so they ask for the practitioner's help. So this is like do's and don'ts for the practitioner that I'm going to be giving you this week. Because, as we often say here, everybody's a practitioner. Some of them are licensed. Some of them are professionally trained and have agreed to perform certain tasks and so on, and have an accountability through reporting. But all of us are busy doing affirmative prayer work for ourselves and our loved ones. All of us are. And if we're not, we should be. And that's why I'm here, is to pester all of us to do this, and it's why all of us in leadership here, it's what we're about, is have you treated about it? Do you need help with that? Do you need to know more about how to do that? Let me mention offhand that if you would like more help in knowing how to do that, there's a class starting this Wednesday night called Powering Your Decisions with Reverend Katie Roxburgh and practitioner P.J. Gunter. It's going to be on Zoom. It's 6 o'clock Central Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, where Reverend Katie happens to be. And you can read more about this on our Facebook page and in the weekly emails, of course, that we send out. If you don't get the weekly emails, let us know. We'd be happy to help you there. Our website is having a moment right now where it's yes. For a while it had old information. Now it has nothing. Now it's just a white screen, and but that's improvement. That's evolution, and it's going to be back soon. But in the meantime, you need information from us. Go to our Facebook page and the weekly emails. Now, last week kind of devolved. The talk kind of devolved or evolved, depending on how you look at it, into my response to some questions that I'd received over time, and then Reverend Lisa was kind enough to turn those into YouTube shorts and stuff. And so I thought about today, which I'd come up with the topic some time back, but it is a question. Mustn't we take action? I get this a lot. I've gotten this a lot over the years. People say, all this affirmative prayer business, yeah, that sounds great, but don't we have to do something? Don't we have? That's not a bad question at all. It's just, it implies, it comes from a misunderstanding. Affirmative prayer is doing something. It is an action. It's not only an action, it's a strenuous action. As you know, if you've ever tried to turn your mind around, right? Here's a problem. Maybe it's a catastrophic problem, or maybe it's simply kind of a discontentment, and you want to do something differently. You want to put something different there than what is there now. This teaching offers the idea that what you do is, first thing, is imagine what you would put in place of what's so right now. And the second thing you do, as if that weren't enough, the second thing you do is you begin to feel as though the new condition is already present. Now, if you want action, if you want mental and emotional and spiritual calisthenics, you could not ask for more than that. That takes work, as you know, because everything about the condition as it presently stands is pulling at us back into stasis, back into paralysis, back into the feeling of hopelessness, that this is how it is, and this is how it's probably always been, but we didn't know it, and this is certainly how it's always going to be, because now it's here, and this is, we deal with conditions at the level of conditions so much of the time. And we're taught to triage and remedy conditions at the level of conditions. And metaphysics suggests something beyond that, which is to imagine what you would put in the place of that condition. And if you will say to this mountain, remove and be thou cast into the sea. Does that ring a bell? And what the great teacher was suggesting there was that you look at the mountain. He didn't actually say this, at least in print that we have it, but I bet he said it to Mary Magdalene, because he gave her all the good stuff. Because she was smart enough to know what to do with it, to understand it, But I bet what he would have said, what he was implying, is you look at the mountain and you picture a valley. You look at the mountain and you picture what you would have in the place of the mountain. He's not talking, he's using an actual mountain, but to build a metaphor. The mountains in our lives, we don't need to go around moving, Alps and Rockies and stuff. The mountains in our lives are impediments. The mountains in our lives are trouble. But they look as old as the actual mountains, and they look as steep as the actual mountains. And they look like they have thin air up there, where it's very difficult to breathe. The conditions that we face that are troubling to us seem enormous, and yet what metaphysics offers is the idea that you picture what you would put in place of them, because we are co-creative. That's a term that's come into vogue lately. We are co-creators with the infinite. It's not a real precise term because it suggests that there's the creative energy and then us. You know, we're like shoulder to shoulder, but we're closer than that. We are the creative energy. We are the experience the divine is having by means of us. But you get the idea here is that we are shaping our own destiny through our own participation in it. So, yeah, it is action. And to look at trouble in your life or to look at trouble in the world, and again, as I say, by trouble, I mean everything from the stuff you think I mean, to just, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm not happy. You know, this is somewhat unfulfilling. I still, like the song I quoted a couple of weeks ago, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That's a real uncomfortable space to be in. So what do? We imagine. How would we feel? How would we feel if our needs were easily and naturally met? How would we feel if everything began to fall into place? And that becomes our spiritual work. Now, the question that immediately follows that, often from people, is that, well, is that all we have to? Then we do all that and we just sit there? No, you don't just sit there. You don't just sit there. Here's the thing. You remember the 5 steps of treatment we went through last week, the last one of them being release? And I think they're still on the Facebook page in different forms and all, and you can find them a million places in our online presence. Well, if you call to mind an intention and you form a spiritual mind treatment around it, you really feel it, and the sense of gratitude comes up around it in the 4th step, and you release the thing into, as a dynamic package of energy, release it into the universal subjective. You do all of that stuff, you cannot help but get motivated to make whatever changes need to be made in the world of form. You just flat can't. I mean, you'd have to actively resist it. You'd have, like, what if somebody came into this room right now, tapped you on the shoulder and said, all the good you have sought in your life in the past, whatever, week, let's say, is right outside those doors. Okay? The job you want, the career, the relationships the healing that you want, the perfect body, the strong self, not the old decrepit self that was just sung about, but the that we're going to put back together before it shuffles off its mortal coil. But everything that you seek, okay, as an answer to your problems, is right outside that door. And you say, I'll check on that later. I'm kind of busy right now. I'm kind of busy right now sitting in my resentments and regrets. You know, I have a few grudges to nurse. Awful expression. I have a few grudges. But no, what would happen? You get up and you dash out of here. You'd be like a cartoon character. There'd be an outline of your body on the wall, you know, where you ran through it, right? To get to this stuff, right? Unless somebody came in and they said, okay, what I have for you is, and they gave you a list and it wasn't what you wanted. And this is what not being motivated to take action tells us. When we're not motivated to take action behind treatment, is that the thing that we thought we desired was not really it. It was an interim step, or it was something, often it's something that somebody else has told us or the culture has told us we should want. Like power and control and vast wealth and things. You know, they sound pretty appealing, and they're kind of, they're built in such a way as to be hypnotic and even addictive. And so, we think, well, yeah, this should be what everybody wants. But you know what you want. And here's the cool thing, is that everybody wants something different, yet everybody wants something the same. By which I mean the common denominator of inner peace and a sense of purpose and meaning and drive and passion and all of this that's common to everyone. But the unique spin on this, the particular form that takes, that's yours alone. That's yours alone and mine alone. And we can't even really describe it to each other. You know how we get closest is through song and poetry and art and dance and these other representative forms that evoke a feeling, but we never fully capture it. Nor, I think, do we in this life ever fully partake of it all, because we're always, you know the old saying, our reach must exceed our grasp? I think we're always reaching for something beyond what we can really hold in our hand. And that's, I think that goes on. I think that we did that before we got here, and we'll do it after. We'll do it always. So the key to treatment, well, the purpose of treatment, as I talked about last week, is not really just to manifest things, although sometimes it's taught that way as a hook to get people interested in it. You know? It's like, hey, buddy, you want to win friends and influence people? You want to have lots of stuff in your life? You want to look powerful and important and, you know, all this kind of thing? Then what you need is spiritual mind treatment. Then you get them listening. See, it's a bit of a bait and switch, but you get them listening, and you say, well, now really the purpose of treatment is to have a mystical experience of the oneness of all things. If you led with that, a lot of people are like, I really don't have time for that because I'm busy accumulating power and acquiring money, you know. But that really is where it leads. You can't go into the space of thinking and feeling that there's one life, and that life is spirit, and that life is all the life there is, and not have a mystical experience. You are a mystical experience. We, each of us, are a mystical experience. And we have certain needs that have to be met on the practical side. So we use treatment for both. We go to the idea of the oneness of all things, and we speak our word, and we manifest certain things, and off we go. But action is implicit in all of this. And yes, we have to take action. And do we have to take action in rebuilding, which they beautifully sang about, in rebuilding this world and making this a better world? Of course we do. Of course we do. And we do it guided by the vision of how we would have it be if it could be any way at all. And that's what distinguishes the people who practice this teaching deliberately and knowingly from those who don't. And those who don't are our target market, by the way. Those are the people that we're trying to get this message to. You've not been doing it wrong. You've just been doing it obliviously, you know. So here's the science mind. Now you can use it in a particular way. But then, yes, you take action and you build a new world and you do certain specific things. And you get active and you raise your voice against injustice, but you do so, not but, and you do so. You raise your voice against injustice and you do so with a picture in mind of what justice would look like and what justice would feel like. And furthermore, you act justly where you are. This is a biggie. We always want to, you know, we get kind of puffed up in our egos. Have you noticed this? And we want to universalize everything. Like everybody ought to be happy. Everybody ought to have a world that works for everyone. That's the tagline for our CSL organization. It's a wonderful idea, a world that works for everyone. But you know where that starts is with me. It starts with me being nice to you. Being nice to you. And sometimes we look right over the heads of all the people in front of us that we ought to be nice to, and we're looking at, if only the UN would do it differently. You know what I'm saying? If only this government and that, and if all of these, you know, august bodies of people meeting in these great high chambers would do things differently, we'd live in a better world. But meanwhile, I can be rude to you and not listen to you because I'm thinking big, important thoughts, and you know, you're sort of in my way. I'm telling you, world peace starts at a four-way stop. You know, think about that. Go ahead. It starts with holding a door for somebody who's coming with packages. It starts with this kind of thing. Is that simple Boy Scoutish kind of? Yeah, but it starts there, and it grows from there, and it grows from, hey, people who are unlike me are moving into my neighborhood. How cool. Let's go meet them. Let's welcome them. Let's have a party. They have food. We like food. We have food. Let's get all our food together. And isn't this great? Hey, people think differently than I do about things. Hey, people listen to different music or read different books. You get the picture. And it's like, can I embrace this? Can I accept this right where I am? If not, that's where I need to do my work. That's where I need to do my work, is stop right there. And before I start thinking about the big overarching societal things, it's like heal my own heart. What about you scares me? What about you intimidates me? What about you seems to limit me in some way? That's where I need to look. Not at you doing the limiting, but at me feeling that and accepting that. So that's how we begin to take action. A lot more can be said about this, and if you really want to hear the story on it, get a copy of Danielle's poem and go through it line by line. It'll tell you what I've just said in much more elegant ways. Then the question comes up. Okay, now I'm treating and I'm taking action. Do I have to be positive all the time? No, you don't have to be positive all the time. It would be creepy if you were positive all the time. You'd be like a Stepford something, or, just kind of a zombie. No, you're not positive. Nobody's positive. Ernest Holmes, Jesus the Christ. I mean, take who you want as an example. None of them were positive all the time. What they were was completely positive some of the time. They were completely positive when they were doing their spiritual work. If you came to, let's say, Ernest Holmes, and you said, I have a certain problem and I want to put this condition in place of it, he would be entirely positive about the possibility of that outcome for you. He would never look at you and say, well, I'm not sure, you don't seem bright enough, or you don't seem, committed enough, or there's something wrong with you. No, he would absolutely know, because he was dealing not with you at the level of personality, but he was dealing with a principle, and he would speak from that principle in terms of creating something new in the client's life through harmony phase entrainment, it's been called, or the use of the subjective level of mind together. Okay? But then Ernest Holmes, I imagine, went home and read the paper, and thought, oh man, what about this? And not everything went his way. He, in 57, he lost his wife of many years, 30 years they'd been married at that point. And, and he had disappointments and disillusionments along the way in his life, like all of us do. Nobody has to be positive all the time. What we're asked to do is, in our spiritual time, screen out everything else. Eliminate everything else for that moment. And how you do this, one way anyway, is to affirm and know there's one life. And that life is good. That life is wholesome. That life is sweet. It's everything I could want. And you speak your word in that life. And it prepares you to face conditions. And you come out of treatment, you face conditions, and you face them at a higher level. As I heard somebody say one time, life going forward, your highs get higher and your lows get higher. You still have lows, but they're higher. Okay? They're not in the depth of the pit of despair as they once were. And I think finally, I got way more stuff than we have time for, but as always, I got a question yesterday from one of you, an excellent question that goes to this point. And the question is, should the feeling that wraps around the thought that's taken into treatment, must the feeling correspond exactly to the thought? Or, like, if you have a goal and you call it to mind and you call up feeling around it, and the feeling makes you weep. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? I'm weeping around my goal. I would think I'd be laughing. I think I'd, joyous kind of thing. No, it's a release that you're going through. Feeling, and I'll get way more into this next week, but feeling is neutral till we wrap it around a thought of an event or an experience. Feeling is energy. It's like electricity. The electricity will do what you need it to do based on whatever you plug into it, And so you don't have to make the right connection between the task and the energy source, whether you're brewing a pot of coffee or vacuuming the floor, So what you do is you call up feeling, and you let feeling call itself up in the gratitude step. And sometimes the feeling, you've heard of the expression weeping. You've wept with joy, haven't you? You've wept with not even joy, but like you don't know why, like a dog food commercial or something. You know, right? There was something I saw on TV the other day. I can't remember what it was right now, but there was something, just an exchange. And some of these are meant to be, you know, the greeting card ads and stuff like that. Some of these are meant to do this. And this was just a sweet little exchange, and I think it was in a commercial. Maybe it was in the body of a show. And I sat there. It's the sweetest thing. And you know, and that's great. That's great. Hildegard of Bingen called tears the aroma of holy work. Hildegard of Bingen, well worth a Google. Yeah. We're on it. Or DuckDuckGo to give them equal time. The aroma of holy work, tears the feeling. So no, the feeling, when you feel something in treatment, it has clicked into place. When you feel something, then all that's left to do at that point is let the thing go, release it. Don't dwell on it. Don't try to recreate the feeling. Don't sit in it and keep kind of, I don't know, pestering it. But release it. Let it go. Turn your mind away and let it go into the depth of the subconscious, the subjective level of reality, which is the creative field. Again, more on that to come. The creative field where we're all connected one to another. So what I would ask you to do in the week going forward, if you haven't done it before, and I know I joke about this sometimes, and I hope I don't make anybody feel, you know, uncomfortable about it when I'm like, you're not treating yet. How long have you been coming here? But please treat. Please treat. Please treat before the stuff hits the fan. Please treat before, not in addition to or, you know, exclusively, but before somebody comes to you and says, my life just fell apart and I need you to know something for me. Practice it today. Practice it on a beautiful day. Our Christian friends have been saying this about prayer forever, for 2,000 years, is pray when you're up. Pray when nothing's wrong. Pray when you don't want anything, when you're not asking for anything, to just commune with the Spirit within so you get comfortable with it. So when it's time to set a goal and it's time to move in some new direction, you know, it's a familiar thing and you know what to do. So thank you so much.
Oh, we're allowed to forget something, isn't that correct? And then if you're up here and you forget something, the front row here will always remind you. And if they forget, yeah, if they forget, the second row will remind you. And if they forget, then Tom will remind you on the third row there. So you can never forget anything here. So say with me now, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have. All the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
And then my final responsibility is to do that thing called spiritual mind treatment, you know, that we've just spent 6 weeks talking about and are going to spend another. Do not let me do math in my head. What is 52 minus 6? Somebody tell me, because I don't know. 46. We're going to spend the next 46 weeks talking about spiritual mind treatment, because it's what we do. It's the idea that Ernest Holmes got that created this whole organization, because that was never his intention. So, and since we just had Imbolc, which you can look up, we are midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And I know here it's going to be in the 70s in the week. So we're like, wait, what? Spring? Huh? But now is because the Imbolc is partly a festival of lights. The days are starting to get longer. The earth is starting to warm up. And our thoughts turn towards spring. We turn towards planting. So what are we getting ready to plant? What is it that you are ready to nurture into your life? That's where we're going to go. So I'm going to invite you to step consciously into the divine with me. as we know that there is one life, one power, one presence, one love. That I am a part of that presence, that I live that life, that I am a divine channel for that love, just as you are. That power flows through us into this world, doing amazing things. So now, what is it that you are planting? Bring forth the idea that speaks to you, that calls your name, that makes your heart flutter. Bring that forth. Hold that seed in your hand and bless it with all of the love, the presence, the power, the life that you have access to as a beloved expression of that divine. The time for planting is nigh. And then we will do the work of watering. Your seed is ready. And the love is waiting to receive it. And I am grateful to know this. I am grateful for a teaching that teaches me that I have the power to change my life simply by recognizing who I am. I am grateful for this teaching. I am grateful for this community. I am grateful for our ministers. I am grateful for our practitioners. I am grateful for our musicians. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful for this technology that lets us broadcast this out into the ethers. And I am grateful because grateful is just another word for love. And I relax, knowing that it is done in love, as love now. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
So it is.